Hello everybody and welcome back to the fourth and final recap for the Starladder I-League Season 2. And with only 3 teams remaining, today we'll find out who will go home as the winner of the last major tournament before TI6. In the lower bracket final, we have a rematch between NaVi and Fanatic, and this will be the third time we see this matchup over the last 2 weeks. With NaVi taking the previous 2 series against Fanatic's 2-1, it really seemed like they had Fanatic's number. And thanks to Snake's 2 career snipes in the early game, as well as his well-executed rotations, NaVi got off to a hot start in the first game. Fnatic's mid one was hoping to replicate his great performance on the Ember Spirit like the game yesterday against Team Friends. However, because Snake's Bounty Hunter got off to a great start and he got his level 6 very early on for support, NaVi was able to snowball off the track gold and they took a huge lead early, and they never gave Fnatic any real chance to come back into the game. And just like that, NaVi eventually took game number 1. In the second game, these 2 following Mariana arrows you will see pretty much sums up the game for Fnatic, as basically nothing went their way. And it was very unfortunate for Fnatic, since it seemed like General was just randomly throwing arrows to clear some creep, and Ohio in mid 1 basically just jumped right on top of it and instantly died. But hey, I mean, he did hit heroes with those 2 arrows, so perhaps it wasn't so random after all. And even without those 2 unfortunate arrow catches, the game was already very difficult for Fnatic, because they were not able to shut down the Alchemist early game, and at this point he had an Armlet, Manta, Radiance, Octarine with Booster Travel, so there was no way Fnatic had enough damage to kill him with the lineup at 24 minutes into the game, barring some insane alt combo and misplays from NaVi. But those 2 arrows was basically the nails in the coffin, and they sealed the deal for Fnatic, as NaVi was able to take a relatively easy 2-0 victory to the series, and they will have a rematch with Secret in the Grand Finals. And in the Grand Finals, Secret once again picked the Razor in the first game, which is something we saw from them yesterday. But this time it was Eternal Evi playing the hero instead of Arteezy. The game tempo was very slow, which feels like something that has become very common with Secret when they have an early game lead. Because they always pick these lineups where they can't really force high ground pushes, so they will slowly secure their victory by getting an early lead, which gets their map control and outfarm the opponent. Game 1 finally came to an end, with Secret eventually taking it after the Void and Razor eventually got enough farm, which allowed them to siege on NaVi's base. After a slow methodical win from Secret in the first game, the second game also went Secret's way early on. However, this time they had some really aggressive heroes, and with heals from Abaddon and Oracle, Secret had some tier 4 dives as early as 26 minutes in. And this game became very interesting because of those deep dives. NaVi was barely staying alive thanks to the buybacks and the fountains being so close to them, and Dandy on the Invoker had an insane performance this game, carrying his team on his back. You know, nowadays people often think about Miracle or Wika when talking about the best Invoker players, but going back 2 or 3 years, when Dandy used to be considered one of the best mid players back then, Invoker was one of the heroes he was known for, and in this game he truly showed why that is. And this is something that I think only Dandy's Invoker always likes to go for, and that's where he will often go for both of the Force Staff and Blink Dagger. And the mobility from it was so important in this game. Just as you saw a few seconds earlier, if he had the Force Staff, he would have been dead for sure, and he had no buyback available, so that might have just been a game where the barracks would be going down and Secret taking a huge advantage. But because of his atomization, it allowed him to survive and outplay his opponent, and turn the game around for NaVi. This was a crazy game, with NaVi making a huge comeback to tie up the series. As most of you probably know, that Dandy has been through a rough period of turmoil with NaVi in the last few years, but it feels really good as a fan to finally see him have an outstanding performance like the one he had this game. And I have made a full highlight for this game, so you can check it out on my channel. Now that the series is tied up, we're going to game 3, where once again Secret had an early game advantage, but NaVi was still able to hold the high ground and allowed Ditcher Rod to get very farm on the Ember Spirit, where he could just instantly delete squishy heroes with the cleave damage if they stand too close to each other. And the Magnus RP with Ember's Sleight of Fist is probably one of the most textbook combo in Dota. Through some great execution, NaVi was able to get a pick off right outside of Secret's base. And it was followed by a huge Chrono Spear, where Secret was caught off guard and was team wiped inside their own base. And in a surprising turn event, where Secret was looking so good early game, they were the one who had to suddenly GG out game 3, giving NaVi a 2-1 lead in the Grand Finals. With the first 3 games over, the grand final looked like it was going to be a great series, going perhaps the whole 5 games. However, Game 4 ended the grand finals in an anticlimactic fashion. Secret was hugely outdrafted as they picked Morphling last as their single carry, while leaving Huskar in the pool. And with no hard counter on Secret's side, NaVi did not hesitate and picked up the Huskar as their last pick. And in order to win this game, Secret had to win the laning stage hard and snowball the Morphling. However, Eternal Envy had a rough laning stage, and Secret even had to abandon him in the safe lane. With a poor early game like that, the inevitable early game push from Huskar with the Aegis came at 17 minutes, and Secret just simply had no answer for him this early in the game. Which means NaVi was able to take the grand finals 3-1, finally taking a major LAN win after a long drought of tournament wins. And this will surely be a huge confidence boost for them as they head into TI6. Meanwhile, for Team Secret, they showed some unique style this tournament and they came very close to taking the whole thing. But I think what we truly learned this tournament is that even though they had some strong showing, they still have a long way to go before challenging OG, Liquid, Newbie, and Wings if they want to win TI6. And with only a few weeks left until the biggest tournament of the year, it will be interesting to see if they will make any adjustment to their playstyle. And that will conclude all my recaps for the Starladder iLeague Season 2. And the next tournament I will cover will be the one we have been waiting all year for, and that is of course the International 2016. So be sure to subscribe to my channel for any updates, highlights, or recaps. And as usual, thank you for watching, and I will hopefully see you next time.